Welcome to the Recruitment Technology Strategy 2014 webinar with the REC, the RecTecHub and Barclay Jones. So what's the RecTecHub? Well, it's an REC sponsored initiative to help members and non-members engage with the REC. It's looking to work with the likes of Lisa, myself from Barclay Jones, Matt from MetaShift and Johnny from Social Talent to bring in information about social media, recruitment technology, mobile technology, to help recruiters understand how to use this technology more effectively to grow their businesses. You can find out more information about the RecTecHub from www.rectechhub.com or contact the REC direct.
So very quickly, just a quick introduction about my business, although I am noticing a few what I call groupies on the line. I'm noticing some names that I know very well that seem to come to all of the events that I speak at. So hello, you know who you are. But for those of you who don't know what my business is, we are recruitment technology and social media consultants. We specialise in working with agencies, UK and globally, on their recruitment technology projects like CRM, overall business process, making you more money, and also helping recruiters understand exactly what they need to do with social media. No box ticking, getting them more profitable, sourcing quicker, generating more leads and improving their profiles, etc. So that's kind of what we do. Now, you've all been practicing, bless you, using your chat boxes, and I'm anticipating you're going to continue doing that with some questions. And if I pause at any stage, it's not because I'm eating cake or, trying to fend off Bradley Cooper. It's more because I'm reading your questions and figuring out the best time to answer those. I want to make this as interactive as I can. If you've ever seen me speak, you'll know that I regularly offer time to the audience to talk to me, and I'm going to do that as much as I can. But obviously bear with us because this is a webinar, and I've got two screens in front of me. I've got Twitter open, I've got my presentation, I've got my headset on, and I've got your chat boxes in front of me. So let's see how we get on. So obviously the whole point of next year, we're all talking strategy right now. Every room that I go into in a recruitment agency, they're all sat there looking at me going, Lisa, where the bloody hell has the year gone? It's 2014 next year. We need to understand what we're doing next year in order that we can capitalise on this theoretical, fabulous environment that's going to hit us next year. I don't know about you, but most of my clients are damn excited about what 2014 is going to bring. And of course, what we've all been doing for the last 5 years is holding on tight, making sure that we grow organically is a polite word as opposed to explosively, which potentially a lot of us were doing in the early 2000s. So we're looking really to have a strategy. So this is obvious. This is kind of why you're here, no doubt. But I'm going to ask you a couple of questions before we begin. So I want you to grab your mouse. And I want you to answer the first question that's going to come up on your screen, because I just want to get an idea of the kinds of projects you might be getting involved in next year. So are you maybe looking to generate a new CRM next year, or maybe even upgrade or migrate the one you've... So let's just quickly share the responses to that so you can get an idea. It's relatively split actually, but a lot of you look like you're going to be changing your CRM. Interesting. Thank you for that. That's helpful. The next thing I want to ask you is, are you planning on taking social media seriously next year? Now, what I mean by this is you're not just going to have a LinkedIn profile and use it to spam people with jobs. Trust me, I've worked in the recruitment agency a long time. Are you actually going to get strategic and start using this stuff properly? Again, yes or no's or not sure's. That's lovely. Great. I'm going to close that poll down now. And then the final question. And just so you can see, a lot of you are going to get strategic with social media next year, and so you should, because trust me, your clients are, and they have the budgets for it. Right, final question. Are you planning on doing any other recruitment technology projects next year? Here's just a few. Maybe the other option is more appropriate to you. So this gives you an idea of what your peers and colleagues are thinking of doing next year. I always think this is quite interesting stuff. Right, that's helpful because that's kind of programmed my brain. We like that. Now, the first thing I want you to think about is, what are your actual goals for next year, or do you simply have tactics? And you're anything like me, you're quite an analytical person, so I know the difference between a goal and a tactic. But I want you to pop into your comments box right now, and I want you to tell me what your goals for next year are. And I'm going to give you some examples. Are they to make more money? Are they to improve your internal attraction strategy? Are they to source more effectively? Pop into your chat panel, please, and just give me an idea about what it is you want to do next year that might even be different to what you're doing right now. So this is definitely not the sort of session where you can put your feet up. I'm expecting you to interact. So I'm getting people telling me they want to source more effectively, more engagement online, brilliant, more engagement with clients, consolidate our clients and candidates, that feels painful, Increased market coverage, more placements, lots more sourcing, brilliant. Effective management of candidates, I like that. Sourcing more effectively, again, there's some themes running through here. Increase our organic rankings on Google, good. Increase staff levels. I'm reading so much positivity at the moment about what 2014 is going to bring to the agency market, and we kind of have to be ready for that. We need to build our business to accept this level of internal and external attraction. Managing our CRM more effectively, all fantastic stuff. There's all sorts of themes running through here. And really what they seem to be is a better online presence, a better use of systems, LinkedIn and linking all the systems through LinkedIn APIs, like that. And basically using what you've got so much more effectively. And I want you to think about that, because maybe I'm going to pin you down this time next year and ask you whether or not you achieve that. Because these things don't happen on their own. You've kind of got to wrestle them to the ground and give them a good seeing to. I want to give you, though, some ideas of what I see every day in the agencies that I go into to begin with about alternative goals that some of you may have or may unwittingly have. And I just want you to study that screen. And maybe, again, pop into your chat box and give me an idea whether or not inadvertently you've got those goals. But think about this. Is the strategy you've got right now designed to hemorrhage your data? Do you really have a decent business process that suggests that when a consultant starts talking to somebody on LinkedIn, that data has to go straight onto your CRM asset? Is your IT strategy designed primarily to wind up the workforce? You may inadvertently be doing this, but is what you're doing really not helping them? Is your advertising strategy online designed to increase inappropriate applications? Yeah, are you receiving people's applications that really are not fit for purpose? And maybe it's because of the way you've advertised the job. Let's think about the fact that the current social media world is making it so easy for people who are not qualified to waste your time. So what are you prepared to do about that next year? Because people are walking down the street right now, or even sat on the loo, God forbid, applying for jobs without giving it any thought. That's taking up your time. That's costing you money. Think about how you might be advertising yourselves online at the moment, how you might be demonstrating what you do, and how you might be demonstrating how easy it is. If all you do is advertise jobs online all day long and you use tech to bleat that out all day long, you're kind of saying to your clients that that's all you kind of do. And I know the agency market. I know how sophisticated you guys are. And I want you to think about how you can use technology next year to demonstrate how sophisticated you are, so your client gets back to their desk and gets on with their day job. And also think about all the tech that you've got in your business and whether or not, yes, you might be winding up the workforce, but maybe you've got so many different options and so many different yellow brick roads that people can go down that actually what you've created is an environment with too much choice and not enough process. So I see this every day. Now, if you don't think any of this applies to you, fabulous, but this is what I see every day in the agency market, and I'm on a one-woman mission to fix that. Think about the goals that are right in front of you right now. These are the kinds of things you need to be thinking about. Do you want to challenge the direct hire model with how you're behaving? Do you want to improve your brand? Do you want to be innovative? Do you want to be more agile? Because trust me, the most agile people in your industry right now are candidates. They don't have social media policies. They don't have 9 to 5 restrictions on when they apply for jobs. Ironically, your candidates are 24/7. They can do what you need them to do at any time of day, and they can certainly approach your clients at any time of day. So think about what your goals should be. And to be frank, these are not technology goals, are they? These are goals related to how you run your business. You can apply these to any environment: social media, recruitment technology, finance systems, whatever you want. But think about your goals, please, because once you've got your goals nailed down, everything else kind of kicks in quite nicely. Something else that's very close to my heart right now is I am meeting, and this seems to be happening a lot, lots of directors, male and female, post 35, who seem to think that the technology landscape has changed so much that they are no longer in tune with their own business. And I don't know if this applies to you, but certainly the webinar I ran a couple of weeks ago on social media, the pink text you see on your screens right now was exactly what somebody typed onto their screen, so I copied it. And we had a really good debate about this. But think about the fact that have you and do you demonstrate on a daily basis that technology has advanced so much that you are out of touch with it, and maybe how you're behaving in your own business means that you've handed the keys to your business over to the young ones who, by the way, you are mistakenly assuming have control of their environments. Someone said they're 38 and pretty hip. I'm so with you on that, Mark. That's fine. And we should just continue feeling that way for as long as we can. So think about this. Think about whether or not the way you display, the way you talk, and the way you act in your own business means that what you're basically saying is technology has kind of got the better of you and the younger ones seem to have more of a handle on it, because I really genuinely believe that they don't. I think your business processes need to be maintained. I don't think the business process of recruitment has changed that much in the last 13 years since I certainly started in the recruitment market. And I certainly think that recruitment technology has a fabulous part to play. But I equally think that as recruitment directors, we need to maintain a handle of our businesses, and we need to maintain a handle of the tech that runs within that. So don't disconnect yourselves by assuming that you don't know what's going on, because it's a very poor excuse. The other thing that I see a lot is option paralysis. And again, I want you to really think about this. I want you to take a really good look. There's some, I'm seeing on the list here, recruitment directors, IT directors, you know, sales leads, all those kinds of people in this webinar right now. And this term option paralysis actually came from a client of mine that I was working with 3 years ago, and I have absolutely used it to death since because I love it. But there are too many systems out there and not enough process. And I used to be an IT director of a big recruitment firm, and I was guilty of getting very excited about tech. And then one day I had a bit of an epiphany where I realized it's the process that counts. The tech should simply back that up. And I do like the term set it and forget it, but I think it's got to be used in the right and most appropriate way. You can only forget about tech if it works, and if it's seen and not heard, because it is that viable within the business. I want you to take a good hard look at the technology you've got in your business. You need to know what it is, first of all. I still meet IT directors who are allowing sales managers to buy technology. I want you to think about the impact of that on the business, because I rarely see that work over a long period. Think about what systems you've got in your business. Think about what the jobs of those systems are, and really consider, and I say this because my husband is one of these, our loft is full of lovely stuff that is rarely used. And I want you to think about that, because All the Gear, No Idea was an article that we published for The Recruiter about 6 months ago, and it got quite a few hits and lots of people feeding back saying, do you know what, that's my business. I have loads of gear in my business that I don't use or I don't respect, maybe might be better. So have a think about this. And again, I'm getting feedback from you here that on the chat that maybe that could apply to you, or maybe you need to just take a time to review this before Santa comes. So I want you to think about, and I want you to give me some feedback. I want you to pop back into your chat room, because I want none of you falling asleep because you're getting sick of my voice here. I want you to take part. But which parts of your business process is recruitment technology really good at? Do you actually know? Can you give me some feedback on this? Maybe the way I'd flip this is if I turned off a particular bit of tech in your business, if I actually switched it off, what part of your business would suffer? And I'll maybe think about it from that perspective. Give me some feedback. What tech do you have in your business that actually helps you make more money, do more sourcing? Brilliant. So we've got job board posting, we've got Broadbean posting, lovely. We've got CRM, fantastic. Obviously LinkedIn. It's interesting, actually. I am meeting younger and younger recruiters who have this theory that if LinkedIn went down, they'd be buggered. And I want you to think about that, because that is a theme again. Just like I've got the other end of the spectrum of recruitment directors saying, technology has changed so much, I have no handle on it. We've got the youngsters saying, there's so much tech in my business, if it went down, I wouldn't know how to recruit anymore. That, to me, is a blog in the making, but it's also, we've got to nail this down. Because if what we're saying is we are so reliant on tech that's basically how we do our jobs, then do you know what? Your clients have got a massive opportunity to stop paying you and do it for themselves. Because all of a sudden this theoretical expertise that you have in this sector specialism that you claim to have is basically just words. And trust me, I only work with agency recruiters, so I know it's not. It's just you do a really bad job of telling people about it online. We've got other people saying if your payroll systems went down, absolutely agree with that. We've got other job board posting systems coming in. I'm not going to be mentioning brands and stuff because I sense what might be going on in the background here. I'm not silly. We've obviously got good CRM systems. We've got the phone. Interesting. Love it. We've got candidate sourcing without LinkedIn would be a struggle. I agree. But what I would say to you there is if it would be a struggle, you need a business continuity plan. If you know what's really important to your business, you need a plan if it doesn't work anymore. You need a plan that if someone decides to try something new, you need, as business leaders, to have a backup plan. Now, I'm not suggesting that LinkedIn's going to be switched off at any given time, but I have been into businesses where when LinkedIn does go down, and it happens very rarely because it's a very credible system. But I actually heard of a recruiter a couple of weeks ago. It went down for an hour and they sent everyone out. I don't get that. I don't get it. But anyway. So let's think about what your plans for 2014 could be. And by the way, I'm loving your interactivity, so thank you. So I want you to think about, are you mapping out your business processes? If you're looking to implement a new CRM system, which a lot of you are, if you're looking to go down the analytics route, new website, job board posting software, have you mapped out your business process? In other words, have you invited a load of builders into your business and you have no architect's plans? That's how I see this. Think about that. Think about buying tech without actually knowing what it's designed to do for you. Think about sitting in front of a recruitment technology salesperson, and there's a couple of them on the phone right now, so please don't take offense to what I'm about to say. But God forbid you get salespeople into your business and you have no handle on exactly the specifics of what that bit of kit is designed to do for you. Yes, I'm sure it's a brilliant piece of tech, but what's it going to do for you? And you've got to think about this. I want you to think about what problems you've got right now. If I was in the room with you, I'd actually set you a 10-minute exercise with a load of post-it notes, and I'd want you to write down the kinds of problems that are probably either making your hair recede, in my case, go white, I don't know, keep you awake at night, cause meetings to go awry because people are too busy whinging about a lack of process and a lack of systems. Think about what problems you want to solve and start making plans to solve them next year. Think about, for the fact, some of you want to change your CRM system. You have to ask yourself why and make sure as part of the process of changing the CRM that you're actually going to fix those problems. Because trust me, if one of the reasons you want to change CRM is because your data's naff and you also decide as part of your plan to migrate your data, it's just geography. And I see that happened a lot. I want you to flash forward a year. If we're all sat in a room having a cup of tea, or probably better a glass of wine, although it is, you know, not even midday yet, so we need to be polite. But what have you done about it? What have you actually improved? Have you made your business better? Have you made it easier to employ people? Have you made it easier to source more leads, even if you think you've got enough to give you more choice? How are you getting money from your clients quicker? How are you developing more leads from Google? What are you actually specifically doing? I want you to also think about flashing forward a year and thinking, what is it your clients actually want from you? Are you delivering something that they need? Have you actually asked them? What tech could you employ that's going to help you be better for your clients? Because trust me, they have access to the same tech that you do right now, but it's how you use it that's more important. Now, if you've heard me speak before, if you've read any of my blogs, you'll know that I have a bit of a hairdressing theme going on. And for most of us who get our hair cut, not everyone on the call has hair sometimes, you will appreciate the hairdressing model, which is hairdressers often rent chairs. And they often cut the hair of people that they know very well. And the people that they cut the hair of probably don't know the brand or the business that they're actually paying very well. And as a result of that, the hairdresser is using the resources within that salon. Someone's washing my hair, but I don't really know who they are. They ask me what I'm doing this weekend, all lovely stuff, but I have no relationship with them. The person that takes my money at the end of the day, I have no relationship with them. So therefore, when that hairdresser leaves, what do? I clearly go with that hairdresser. Now, never before has that particular analogy been more prevalent, especially with all the databases that your consultants have access to. And trust me, even if you think you have a nailed down policy that's going to stop people nicking your data, I've yet to see one that is effective, especially when we've got LinkedIn, etc. What you do need is a business process that makes it very clear and very appropriate for consultants to put data onto your CRM system, and you need to make it easy for them to do that, because to be frank, that's the only asset that you own and have control of. So I want you to think about this time next year, could you tangibly say to me, Lisa, my staff are no longer hairdressers, I understand exactly who they're working with, and equally, I do not have any 30-second placement consultants in my business. Now, for those of you who don't get what that means, what I see that to mean as, oh my God, I've got to send the invoice out, I'd better put some data on the system. And really, can we operate like that? Can we project what our business is going to look like? Do we know who our clients are? Do we know the turnaround or the conversion rates of our consultants and how our clients are likely to behave? Do we know where our sectors are most prevalent? Think about what your plan is for 2014. And I'm not talking tech here. This is basic business stuff. But think about how tech can help you solve some of these problems. Some other ideas that I want you to kind of take away with you today, and again, I'm waiting for questions here, otherwise I'm just going to keep talking. Some ideas for best practice for 2014. I want you to think about some things that seem to be happening in a lot of my clients' lives right now. I want you to think about how you can make your CRM your analytics buddy. And what I don't mean is make sure it can download loads of spreadsheets that take you bloody ages to analyze, and therefore you have zero time to take any action. Think about what you can do, what products might be available to you. And I don't plug products. I don't take money for any of this, but I do believe in talking about what's good. So there are several products on the screen right now to the right of where I'm talking that will help you decide how to run your business more effectively. Someone's just asked a question, can you ask for LinkedIn contact lists? If your policy says that you can and that person has signed it, then yes. Can we ask demand consultants to transfer contacts to the CRM? Another great question. This is my view for what it's worth. If your business process is very transparent and you've been seen to train people to the minute they start having a conversation with someone online, be it LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, etc., Google+, God forbid there's more. If you make it very clear to your consultants what their job is to basically mine data at a certain point, not because it flashes up on the screen and they've seen it, but because they're starting a relationship, then that belongs to you. Can we dictate to consultants what profile picture to display? Really interesting questions. I think what you need to think about here is this, and I'm going to talk about this in a wider thing, so not just profile pictures, but overall how consultants use social media. If you don't train them and tell them and educate them as to the opportunities that social media brings them, they'll make it up as they go along, and they'll probably really have great intentions. But if you don't show them how to generate leads, if you don't show them how to source effectively, if you don't show them how to brand themselves and work on the back of your fabulous brand, then they'll do what they think is right, and that is rarely going to work. So I would suggest you have a policy and an environment when it comes to online digital recruitment that gives consultants opportunities to make more money and get home on time. If you don't give them an opportunity to do that with the way that you train and educate them, then they'll do what they think is right. And invariably, most consultants think they have a right to do whatever they want because it's social media and it's private. And I do not subscribe to that theory at all. You do not have privacy online, so don't do anything that you wouldn't do in front of your mum or your clients. I've got another question. What are the names of those products? I don't know them by the logo you've put up. So we've got Cube 19, she says. We've got Safe Computing, and we've got Insight Squared. I'll let you make your mind up which one is which. I hope that answers your question, Jess. Keep the questions coming. Right, so make your CRM your analytics buddy. Do you know what? Some of those analytics systems can tell you what markets you should be segmenting. They can tell you how to manage your staff. They can tell you if you're contract or temp, where the vacancies are going to become apparent. These are pretty amazing systems. If all you do in the next quarter is look at them, you'll get a sticker from me. If at the end of it you decide it's not for you, that's absolutely fine. But trust me, the way those systems work now will blow your mind. I really want you to think about integrating your business process with social media. Social media is not something you do when you've got 5 minutes, because let's face it, if that was the case, you'd never use your phone. Yeah? I get very fussy when I hear people talking about the art of conversation being dead because of social media. I actually think we need to cut people a bit of slack. If they're able to operate in a digital world because your clients and candidates are, then I think you need to give them a sticker for that. I think the art of communicating online is a skill. I think we need to train people on how to do it and how to do it well, because there's only one way that this is going. And we can fight and we can say that that face-to-face time is the most crucial. And you know what? I absolutely agree. But it's probably going to only happen because of your online activities. In other words, are you going to secure more meetings because people are checking you out online? And I think the answer is a big yes, because let's face it, as recruiters, we do that with our clients and candidates. So why would they behave any differently? I've got a question. Please, would you advise how each of the systems you've recognized are good? I cannot pitch to you how these systems work today. I'm just going to suggest that you pour yourself a glass of wine in the next few weeks and book demos with them and see how they look to you. You should take 30 minutes to look at each one of these things. We should all have time to look at this. Are there training courses available for digital communication skills? Absolutely, and I will talk to you about that separately offline if that's okay, Mark. I want you to think about your business process. I want you to think about, for example, I have a vacancy. How can I get this on social media? And it's not about carpet bombing, because carpet bombing doesn't work, but what process are you training your staff to deliver using social? Because if you don't train them, they'll just do what they think is right. I want you to think about being better than your clients, not just your competitors. We get really fussy as recruiters. We get really sneery when we see our competitors online doing stuff. But I really want you to think about, when was the last time you looked at what your clients did online? When was the last time you figured out what technology they're using? You might get a bit of wind up you if you actually realize that they're probably better than you from an online perspective. Do they have more contact points than you, i.e. are they more approachable online than you are? Again, your candidates are your biggest threat right now because they don't have social media policies. They don't have IT directors telling them when they can or can't use their mobile phones. They can do it while they're working, while they're pouring themselves a cup of coffee or going to the cinema, and they can do it at 8 o'clock at night. They don't have time restrictions like recruiters do. I really want you to think about that. I also want you to reinvigorate your technology relationships because God forbid you're planning on changing how you do stuff right now simply because you've not really looked at what you've got and respected it well enough. And I hear this a lot. When we did the RecTecHub launch in September, October, and we did a few kind of tours around the country, when we said to people, what's the biggest challenge you've got next year from a tech perspective, they all said, we're looking to change our CRM. So we said to them, well, why is this? And do you know what? None of them said, because we found a better one that makes our business work more effectively. Most of them said, because the one we've got right now is crap. Now, that's a good reason to change, don't get me wrong, but most of the projects that I work on with clients, sometimes when we're looking at migrating them to another project, we probably also advise them to take a really long, hard look at what they've currently got and make sure that they've either not just been missold it, it's because they've not had the right level of training, or they probably just haven't kept up to speed with where that product is going. Because changing your CRM system is a big deal, and those of you who are writing to me on the system just now would know that. So I've said I've had a chat. I would challenge a lack of training on CRM systems. I'm suggesting that you retrain your staff and you build in using your recruitment technology as part of your recruitment training program throughout the year. So just like you're probably revisiting how to generate leads, how to speak to people, how to go to events, also using the technology that you've got in your business. Because otherwise people fall out of love with it, they circumvent it, and spreadsheets come into play big time. And again, we'll have all seen this. And I also want you to think about blending your approach. I want you to think about the tech that you've got and thinking about where it fits, because there are no silver bullets. Those of you who have this idea that LinkedIn is the be-all and end-all, as much as I respect the product, I think it's absolutely awesome. It's not the only one I use to do my job, and I know what place it has. I know what job it has within the business. And I want you to really think about that as well. So in other words, what I want you to do is adjust your expectations for next year. I want you to think about what your technology is designed to do for you, and I want you to give it a job. Just like you've got sales directors, marketers, office managers, I want you to look at your CRM, your job board posting software, your analytics software, and I want you to write it a job spec, even if it's just in your head. But have a level of expectation. What is it designed to do? Because once you know what it's designed to do, you can fire it if it's no good, or at least take it down disciplinary. But I go into so many recruitment agencies that have got loads of tech, but there's no real expectation of it. Or worse, the expectation is pretty damn low, which is, well, it doesn't really have an impact. If I turned it off, the business wouldn't really suffer. And I'm like, well, what the hell have you got it there for? Why are you distracting the workforce with it? Then you speak to the workforce. They have a very different expectation of what that system is designed to do. I see expectations being a big problem. One of the streams that we're writing on the RecTecHub right now is a concept called PIBCAC. And if you've not read the blogs, please by all means get online. We'll send you the link to them after this webinar. But PIBCAC, for those of you in the techie world who will be wryly smiling, means problem in between keyboard and chair. In other words, the user. And we often find there's a complete mismatch of expectations around the business. So, for example, a typical sales director and managing director just assumes everyone's using a CRM, whereas recruitment consultants using spreadsheets and phones. Very, very common. So I want you to raise your expectations, or at least adjust them, give it a job, and be realistic, because at the end of the day, no matter what tech you've got in the business, people make placements, not phones and not technology. Phones, social media, CRM are designed to enhance the face-to-face and phone process. And I really want you to think about how your tech enhances it. If it creates a barrier to it, something's not quite right. I've got a question. Any tips for keeping Twitter moving as opposed to just tweeting jobs? Okay. I'm going to throw that question back at you, and I don't expect you to answer this, but I want you to think about what it is you talk to candidates and clients about, and that is the answer to the question. Because I bet you don't walk into a conference full of ideal candidates and start screaming about your jobs. I bet you don't go to a client site and say, enough about you, can I just tell you about the candidates I've got? What you do is you talk about the sector, the environment, awards, events, stuff that's happening that's going to turn on your audience. And trust me, if you don't know the answer to that, you might as well just open up a cattery. But I bet you do. Tell me via your chat box, please, is there any tech in your business that you really rate? I don't need the names of it because I'm not going to read out brands today because we're not here to plug anything, apart from the REC, TechHub and Barclay Jones, clearly, because we have total control of the webinar. But what I do want you to tell me is, what systems in your business would you just weep about if they were turned off? I can use the brand name because there's only one of them, but LinkedIn Recruiter. We've obviously got phones. We've got job board posting systems. Are we talking about those lovely new systems like DocuSign and stuff that you basically don't have to wait for a client to get their pen out and scan stuff and get a pigeon involved in the process? Brilliant, absolutely. Electronic signature signing, definitely important. Now the next question. If you could bin any tech in your business right now, if you could just take it out into the car park and smash it up with a hammer because it's just so bad, what would it be? Spreadsheets, brilliant. An email, I've got an email for some fax machine. Do you know what, Belvir? Somebody very young the other day asked me what a fax machine was, and I didn't know what to say. Do you know what's interesting? None of you said in the question where I asked what's absolutely crucial to your business, none of you said websites. Oh, shocking. Amazing. But maybe I've got a gun to your head and it's all a bit too pressured. Excel is the bane of my life. I'm just so going to use that quote. That's fantastic. I've also got here websites. Excessive job posting rather than looking through our database or the incoming applicants. Now, this is something really interesting. Think about, please, some job board posting systems, and I have yet to figure out how to say that very quickly after 3 gins and tonics. Not that I've had 3 gins and tonics, but some I can't do it now. Some job board posting systems, this is being recorded, how embarrassing, are designed to prevent you posting jobs. And I want you to think about this. I'm not going to mention any brands, but I want you to ask the question of the people that sell you job board posting software and say to them, do you have a system, Mr. and Mrs., that allows me to hunt through the people that have applied for the jobs that I've posted in the last 6 months to see whether or not there's anybody viable in there before I waste everyone's time and advertise again? Got to think about that. I think that's pretty damn cool. Right. I want you to tell me if you know, and just give me a yes or a no. Do you know how many people or the percentage of the traffic that come to your website? Do you know what the percentage is from a mobile account? And do you also know what the percentage of your traffic to your website is social? Somebody's actually dialing on and looking for it right now. I love it. This is as interactive as we could possibly get. Now, I want you to really take this seriously. Did you know, for example, that 70% of job searches on LinkedIn are done via a mobile device? God forbid your adverts are an absolutely awful mess and the average person cannot read them. I know that 20% of my traffic to my website is mobile, and I know that 22% of the traffic to my website comes from LinkedIn. What does that enable me to do? Well, it very quickly taught me that when I relaunched my website in July this year, that I had to have a mobile-enabled site, or a responsive site as they're now called. Equally, I also know that the time I spend on LinkedIn is pretty bloody important, so I know whether or not LinkedIn is going to be a viable product for me going forward. Yeah, I've had a quote from somebody, responsive design websites are vital. So for those people who think I'm talking Latin right now, responsive does what it says on the tin. It responds to the device that you're using, whether it be a tablet, iPad, etc., or a laptop, or a TV, or an iPhone, etc. The website responds to that and squeezes itself around and looks gorgeous no matter what. Google Analytics, Julia, yes, that is the way for you to measure these statistics. It's very simple. You should be writing analytics reports once a month that give you an idea over time of how your mobile traffic is growing, and it is growing. On average, 40% of website traffic is mobile now. Agencies tend to be slightly behind the curve there because the majority of people looking at their website throughout the day are using desktops, but obviously your candidates are probably using devices. So yeah, responsive websites are absolutely crucial. You need to be thinking about that, especially if what you're doing next year is a web project. So make sure, please, that you're taking your website, but overall your online environment really seriously, because this is recruitment technology. I see LinkedIn as recruitment technology. I see Facebook as recruitment technology. A lot of people split social media and recruitment technology up, and we kind of do that in our business. But when I'm talking to clients, I'm talking about this just being one environment. I want you to think about a typical candidate. They don't see your website as separate to your LinkedIn company page or your Facebook page or your Google Plus page. They just see that as part of your ecosystem or your online estate. So don't just spend tens of thousands of pounds on your website and be crap at social media, because that might be the way they're coming to you. Stop ticking boxes with social media. Make sure 2014 is a thing where you're just going to capitalize on it. We get lots of calls from clients initially who want LinkedIn training, and it turns into, actually, it's not the training we need. We actually need a strategy to begin with, because we want to reduce the risk of using this stuff. We want to make sure we have a decent policy in place. We want to make sure that we're improving our brand and not just creating more hairdressers. God forbid you train your staff to be better at social media, but your company still looks pants online, because it's only going one way. We don't have big smartphones now to send massive texts. We send them to look at pictures, watch videos. There's a reason why YouTube is number 3 in the world at attracting site hits. So think about how your website and social media fits into your recruitment technology strategy for 2014, because it definitely fits into the strategy for your candidates and clients. They have a strategy. Candidates use the online world to look for jobs. And even if they're not looking for jobs, and let's not forget, according to LinkedIn, only 20% of online adults look for work online. The rest of them are totally passive. That what you need to think about is, what is your strategy doing to attract that 80% that are not looking for work? And just like Mark asked earlier, how can you be approachable to people who are not looking for work? You don't just talk about jobs all day long. So let's start to wrap up, but please keep the questions going. So let's talk about some takeaways. Let's think about some specific things that you can walk away with today. I want you to think about what your goals for next year are, because you can get tactical and you can tick boxes and you can decide you're going to start advertising your jobs online. But I really want you to think about what your strategy for this is, because your goal is not to advertise jobs online. Surely it's to improve the relevant application rate. So not the number of applications, but the relevant number of applications. You might actually want to be reducing the number of applications you get. And therefore, how can you use technology and just common sense to do that? Think about the tech that you've got in your business. Is it distracting your workforce? Get some process in place. And for those of you who maybe have a more seasoned workforce, which is a polite way of saying mature, and they are maybe a barrier to progress within the business because they don't want to use tech, then don't make them use tech that doesn't help their process. But if their process will be invigorated by tech and sped up and enhanced by tech, don't take any prisoners on that either, because I certainly wouldn't. And if you're of the generation that just assumes that technology's got the better of you, then get a grip, because it's only going one way. Taking responsibility now is not hard. You don't have to know every button to press, but you do need to know the role of technology in your business. And again, not assume that everyone's got it under control. A great technology example would be that someone with a computing degree would not be responsible for the technology strategy in your business unless they have worked in a business for a while and rolled out loads of projects. Just like someone who's fresh out of marketing school is not going to be particularly brilliant at devising strategy for you, because they probably know nothing about your sector and how your business operates. So you need to take responsibility and stop handing keys over to youngsters because they know how to use a mouse. Start thinking about how you're going to analyze how your business is operating so you can make better business decisions using technology. And look at the problems that you have in your business right now that are causing people to get, that they can't wait till Christmas because they've just had enough. Solve those problems. And think about what client problems you might have. How can tech solve that? Think about whether or not maybe some of the tech in your business just needs to be replaced because it's just not fit for purpose anymore. I see this a lot. I see businesses growing, but the technology providers that they have not growing with them. It's very, very common in the recruitment world. Start respecting what you have. It might not be the time to change. It might be the time before you change to look at what you've got, pay a bit of respect, retrain, re-engage with it. Definitely re-engage with the business. But if it's got beyond that, move on and move on quick. And have some realistic and positive expectations. If there's tech in your business that people hate using because it doesn't work, you have a responsibility to get rid of it or make it better. And also finally, and this is obviously a lot of questions about social media and web today, because again, it is recruitment technology. Think about what specifically you want to get out of it, and don't treat these things as separate silos, because your customers and candidates do not. They swim around the pool bumping into all sorts of online profiles. So make sure you pay them all an equal amount of respect. So I've got a really big question that I'm going to have to give a short answer to. Any advice for great consultants who could do more, but really struggling with IT and social media? It's business process. It's all about business process. You've got to look at what they're really good at. Yeah, we all worry about giving too much tech to some consultants because we're worried about turning them into administrators. Well, we need to take a grip of that and look at what they do well that makes them money. Yeah, and 9 times out of 10 it's going to be face-to-face contact. That's the bit that generates the fee. Okay, so how can you use tech to give them more time to do that? Okay, I've got a really good answer here. Get them a resourcer who does get tech. Now, this is a really good point. So I recently wrote an article for The Recruiter called Ready, Fire, Aim, Aim, Aim. And if you want a copy of that, then just say yes in your chat boxes now and I'll send that to you separately. But basically what the article is about is we have to get over the 360 model that's in our businesses if we've got a cat in hell's chance of delivering a decent, speedy process. Now, what I mean by this is I go into every single recruiter and they say the way we write our adverts is pants. And I say, well, why are you still doing it then? If the most important part of your online profile is your stock, which is your jobs, which, trust me, your clients are looking at just as much as your candidates are because they're looking for confirmation that you know what you're doing, then why are you giving it to people that just can't do it? And actually, and I spoke to someone that I really trust yesterday and he gave me a really good quote. There are some things you just cannot train people to do. Now, you can disagree with me on this, but if you've given loads of training to people to write adverts and they still can't do it, then why are you flogging a dead horse? And why aren't you investing some time and money in someone who can? Think about that. So if you want that article, put a yes in, and I'll give you some ideas through that article as to what you want to think about. But the 360 model only exists when the person delivering 360 is bloody awesome at bloody everything. And that, you know, I think is really rare. And I want you to think about the bits of the process that slow down and don't do you justice and solve them either through tech or better people. Thank you for your time and your patience, especially with the sound. And I look forward to touching base with you very soon. Take care, everybody, and have a great weekend.